In 1956, there were 12,000 drive-ins in America. 95% of those are dead. And yet there are native Indians, the Crankaway Indians of Texas, who believe there is a spirit that lives on in these decayed temples where Americans once worshiped. They call it Wiskabanaha, or the spirit of blood, breast, and beasts, or the 3 B's. What you are about to witness is a summoning of that spirit, a return to a part of the American heritage that has all but vanished. It's a heritage of drive-in movies, controversial movies, groundbreaking movies, the weird, the offbeat, the strange, and most of all, the sleazy. You are about to experience one of the sleaziest movies in the history of the world. When I see a sight like this along the American highway, I get kind of steamed. You know, there's not even any place where you can watch the classic movies anymore. Movies like Please Don't Eat My Mother and Gas Pump Girls, Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. You know, if they were to make Blood-Sucking Freaks today, who knows if anybody would even get a chance to see it. Not to mention the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. At least Saw is still the king after all these years, but I'm determined to do more than that. This series will bring you more than 1,000 of the sleaziest drive-in movies ever released. And this project, at our current rate of release, will be finished in the year 2116. But see, that's how dedicated we are to the preservation of the American drive-in. Kind of makes you sick, don't it? Well, this is my home, and more important, this is the headquarters of the most important project in American film history. You know what I'm talking about, the sleaziest movies in the history of the world. Glad you could be with us. Tonight we pay tribute to the Nudist Camp movie. You know, back before it was legal to show naked bodies on the screen, the only way to get away with it was to film movies entirely within the confines of a nudist camp. See, there was this Supreme Court decision in New York that said nudist camp movies were classified as educational. But it took a woman named Doris Wishman to make an industry out of it. Starting in 1960, she made 5 movies on the grounds of nudist camps that made so much money that by 1962, there were more than 100 nudist camp movies out. I mean, most of them were just long shots of naked women posing on giant rocks or batting a beach ball around a swimming pool so their breasts jiggled up and down. And every nudist camp movie had at least one scene of happy sunbathers playing volleyball and shuffleboard. Anyway, what you're about to see is the weirdest nudist camp movie ever made. 2 rocket scientists use their own money to fly to the moon. They do it secretly. They don't tell anybody that they're going to the moon. And then when they get there, they find out that the moon is populated by totally nude moon dolls strutting around in what looks exactly like a botanical garden in Florida. And when I say moon dolls, I mean moon dolls. These women have the biggest butts I have ever seen in my life. Cellulite City. And the main one wears these awful see-through dirt brown panty kind of things that, you know, the 60s were just kind of disgusting. But anyhow, where was I? I forgot what I was talking about, those dirt brown panties. Oh yeah, Doris Wishman, she had this problem. How does she make these ordinary, typical, everyday nudist campers look like authentic moon people? Well, I'm going to show you. We have some actual props that were used on the movie. Now watch this. I look like an ordinary human being, right? Now what do I look like? That's right. A baby in his cradle would recognize me as a space alien. All right, let's try it again. Human, space alien. See that? Human, space alien. Now, if you can imagine me totally in the nude, see, then well, let's just do that too. Space alien, totally in the, well, actually, I'll do that after the movie. You don't want to see that. But speaking of costumes, also, that's another thing. We also have the most amazing space travel uniforms that I've ever seen in my life in this movie. So you have to remember, Doris Wishman, she only spent about $20,000 on her movies, and so the rocket scientists wear these breech clout deals with big old buckets on their heads, and they have these butane tanks on their backs. And, well, I don't want to spoil that for you, but let's see. What else do you need to know about this movie before we see it? Oh, I know what it is. Be sure to watch for the space volleyball scene. Yeah, they play volleyball on the moon. You believe that? You might notice that when the scientists are in the rocket too, they talk to each other on CB radios, even though they're sitting right next to each other. I never knew why they do that. Say, hey Joe, hey Bill. And they're talking on these CB radios even though they're right next to each other. I thought that was an interesting scientific detail. I didn't know they did that. And the night before they leave for the moon, they go to see this movie called Hideout in the Sun. You'll see it up there on the marquee. That was Doris's very first movie, her nudist camp movie that she made in 1960. And by the way, you tell me if I'm wrong, but when you watch this, the guy who plays the professor in this movie, does he have bird doo-doo in his hair or what? I want you to watch for that. Now, the drive-in totals on this movie are they're very good. They're truly amazing. 146 breaths. You know, they didn't even have that many breaths in Gas Pump Girls. You are going to love this movie, I'm telling you. This is amazing. Wait till you hear the theme song from this movie. This flick is incredible. I'm moving.